I had a dream where I was lucid and it still haunted me for weeks afterwards. Somebody needs to tell you the truth. The dark side of dreaming lucid. People, we're back here again. I'm your guy Frank. I've been lucid dreaming for off and on, well, 30 years, more than 30 years. I have more than 30, probably 40 years of um, dream journals in one form or another. Been doing this for a million years. Okay, so let's get on it. Uh, there's usually about one sign that will tell you to stop the dream immediately. Wake up. Now, I can wake up on demand. We'll be going over that in later videos as well. So you can do it. But what's the one sign, what's this one thing that comes up if you're in a lucid dreaming and things starting getting out of control? What is that? 3. Well, there are a few actually. One of my big ones is the horror movie kind of dream. A lot of people like horror movies. You probably don't want to live it. You probably want to see it on a screen and yell, no, don't go in the serial killer's tool shed. That's where he's going to kill you. No, don't go for the car because it's not going to start up and you're not going to get away. Right? That's all fun and entertainment. But when you're actually feeling like you're about to be killed by a chainsaw massacre guy, not a whole lot of fun. And that's one of the things that I look for when I'm dreaming or lucid dreaming, is if it looks like anything from a horror movie. Now, the way I have it set up in my dreams now is that I have, over many years, well, actually over about 20 years, I've been distancing myself from the content I see than from me. So, like, I can be in a horror scene in a dream and not feel like, oh, well, I need to act this out. I need to be sliced and diced by, Freddy Krueger or whoever, right? No. I just see it and say, okay, this is what I'm looking at, and I explore regardless. So, one experience with that and how I do it, if I'm successful, is that I see a scene. Like I saw a scene, I walked into, well, I was in like I think it was an airport structure, and I walked outside, and it took me to a whole nother realm. I was on like a freeway, say Los Angeles freeway, and it was blackened, like the place had been napalmed. There were burnt out cars here and there. There was assorted trash here and there, and it was like this body over one of the dividers that divide the highway, and he was dead, of course, and he was blackened and charred, and it was very horrific kind of thing. And then I was like, okay, well, that's that. And this is, like you're at Disney World looking at one of these displays they have at Universal Studios or whatever, like the dinosaurs or something. You're not going to think they're real. So I went over and explored it, and he had a stack of $100 bills on his back that were also burnt and charred. And it was just a very bizarre little dream, but I didn't let it go down horror alley. Now, I had one where I was lucid, and it did go down horror alley. And this is what you gotta kind of watch out for. This is one of the reasons why I don't watch horror movies, because I don't want to live that, right? I don't want to be in a dream and live that. There is bleed over from of course, from your waking life into your dream life. So I have a lot to say about that. That's why when I go, yeah, I have a lot to say, but we're not going to go all there right now. So obviously, there's a lot of bleed over. Don't watch horror movies just before you go to sleep. That goes without saying. I've done that too. Comment down below if you've done that as well. Hit the like button down below and subscribe and all that stuff. But yeah, do comment if you've had any of these things happen. So, the negative one. So, I was just walking around a building and I was lucid and I was kind of just exploring. I love exploring uh, the dream area. I love exploring. So I came to an area and there was doors that looked like elevator doors. So um, I they wouldn't open. Uh, a lot of machinery in the dream world doesn't open or work the way you want it to unless you tell it to. We are used to, you look at your cell phone, it kind of goes on. You look at the clock, it tells you what time it is. But in the dream world, you have to tell things what to be. And I went up to the elevator and pressed the little button and it didn't open, right? Because I was expecting it to come to me and it wasn't. And I realized I was lucid at that point and I I was like, oh, okay, I have to make it open. What did I say? Because I used a catchphrase. I had a catchphrase in my early lucid dreaming days. I'll be the judge of that. Right. I can tell you that story too. I was walking down a hallway that looked like it was in a school. It was kind of curved around in a big curve, and I was strutting down. I was like, I'm lucid dreaming. I'm gonna explore everything in this place. And I came to a character who looked like he was like an agent, kind of like out of the Matrix, but he had a brown suit instead of black. He was like, halt, you don't go any further. And I was like, move out of the way, I'll be the judge of that. And I went right further, and I had a little bit of a nightmare after that. That's a whole nother, yeah. And I have these all recorded. So when you get a good dream, record it. Okay, that should be a video in itself. But after that, for about 10 years, it was, I'll be the judge of that. I'll be the judge of that. And then I came to an elevator that didn't open, and I thought, oh, it's not opening. Well, I'll be the judge of that. You know, open. And whoosh, the doors opened. And I was like, yeah, that's how it's done. And I walked in the elevator and I waited there for a couple of minutes and I was like, now what? Do I have to wait for this? This is ridiculous. What's going to happen next? And all of a sudden, the walls started shrinking, like in those, James Bond movies or something. Like this is going to crush you now. You think do you think the elevators are claustrophobic before they close in on you, but then when they close in on you and it's coming closer to your face and one's coming up on the back and it's like, oh my goodness, oh, this is not good. This is not good. Yeah, and that I was lucid for the whole thing. That was in my early days. I really didn't know what to do. I only had one thing to do in the early days. I only had one go-to in such situations, and that was a random teleport button that I had in my pocket, or it would just appear. Like when you want your cell phone in a dream, you're like, oh, it's in my hand. That's the same thing with the teleport button. So I was in the elevator and it was closing. It was this metal, these stainless steel type situation. So stainless steel on one side, stainless steel and closing, and I could feel it on the back of my head closing in. I was like, oh no. And in front, and I was like, okay, teleport now. Ah! And I did. I totally teleported out of that situation. Um, and I had another instance where there was a car. I was lucid and I was exploring the street and there was a car. And I was like, well, let's take a look at the car. Let's see how real this car is. And I opened the trunk and it was like, oh, there's just stuff in there. And then somebody appeared behind me and pushed me in the trunk and slammed the lid. So, Another possible claustrophobic nightmare. Of course, I had my teleport button, and I just hit teleport, and I wound up in some old lady's um, kitchen area, like where the table is in the kitchen area. That was a whole other weird dream right there. Because in that one, I was in her house and she couldn't see me, couldn't communicate with me, and I was, yeah. But anyway, I got a lot of adventures to talk about. So, yeah, it can happen if you have that horror movie thing going in your head. It can manifest up in the dream world, and you don't want that. So once you see things are a little creepy or burnt out or dystopia or maybe going the wrong way, maybe a dream character telling you, whoa, you don't go in here, you don't go any further, maybe you should just say, you know what, it's all good, and go in the opposite direction. Don't force things, right? Don't force things because your subconscious probably isn't going to like it. Another one to watch out for are false awakenings. This is where you dream that you are waking up, that you have woken up, and the dream is over. The thing with this, it gets very trippy. Like you're in the matrix. Think Inception, right? You're down 5 levels, right? You're in a dream, that's in a dream, that's in a dream, that's in a dream. And it does get that trippy. And how does that look? Well, you're in a dream and you're doing some things and you're like, hey man, I'm lucid. And first of all, the dream world, your mind likes the dream, okay, and it tries to trick you, and it does a very, very good job at that. Yeah, let's just stop there because I got a whole other thing on that too. But it will try and trick you, and it knows how to trick you because it's your mind. It knows what you expect, it knows where all your foibles are, it knows where all your chinks in your armor are, it knows how to make you believe things. Also, because we're on the dark side of things today, I'm wearing black. So, okay. But anyway, like you care. No. One, two, three. So your mind likes to trick you and get you back to dreaming sometimes. And when you're lucid, sometimes I am able to wake myself up. But this was back in the old days too. Okay, one, two, three. So your mind likes to keep you in the dream. I've gotten to a point where that's not a problem anymore. But in the old days, that was a bit of a thing. And I was lucid in a dream, and nothing great was happening along the dream. And I just was like, okay, I guess I'll just wake up. And I woke up, and to my surprise, I was on a love seat in a room that I never really went to sleep in. But okay, so I got up and I walked around the house, and I noticed that things were a little different in the house. It was dark outside, and I was not. Oh no, it was light outside. It was the middle of the day outside, but I realized that I had the last time I remember going to sleep, it was night. How is it night and it's daytime outside? And then I realized I was dreaming. It just came to you. Sometimes it can just come to you. And I was like, oh, wow, that was so real. I thought I was really waking up. I said, okay, I have to wake up this time. And I kind of closed my eyes, wake up, wake up. And then I woke up and I was in the same love seat. I woke up and then I was like, okay, whoa, that was trippy. Then I realized it was still light outside. And I'm still in the same love seat. No, I went to sleep in my bed. This is not real. This is not a real awakening. This is a false awakening. A second false awakening. I said, well, I'm not going anywhere and I need to wake up. So I just closed my eyes, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then I woke up and I was in the same love seat again, and it was still daytime outside, and I knew it was supposed to be night, and I was like, you have to be kidding. Am I ever going to get out of this dream? How many times am I going to wake up in the dream for real, in the dream, and be lucid? You know, it's like the Matrix. It's like like if you're in a jail cell, you know where your problem is. It's the bars and the locked door on the other side and the cement wall on the other side. That's your problem, right? But if it's a prison for your own mind, what are you going to do? You know, in the old movies, they would saw their way out of the jail cell or dig a hole in the wall or get the key from the jailer or something like that. That was, but when you don't have walls or bars on your jail, it's just on your mind. What do you do? And that's how I felt. It was trippy, man. It was frightening because like how many times am I going to be trapped? Will I ever get out of here? What's going on in my real life? Because I can't seem to wake up. What if there was an emergency out there? Right? You know, all this junk goes by your head. You go to sleep for a third of your life, and now you're worried about 2 minutes of it being dangerous? No. Uh, I eventually got out. I did the head wagging technique, which is like I stiffen the back of my neck up and I go like that. Can you see that? Like that. For whatever reason, that works every time. And I woke up, and then I was in my bed, and it was nighttime. But now I didn't really believe it, right? Was I in a dream, in a dream, in a dream, in a dream? So I had to do reality checks, which I talked about in previous videos. I think I did the finger through the hand check. Oh, I did the looking at the clock check. It should look like that, right? It shouldn't be all crazy numbers and stuff like that. And then I got up and I peed, and everything looked right, right? Sometimes you'll get up to do that, and then you'll go into another bathroom that's not in your house, or you'll get up and walk out of your room and it's daytime, or there are strange people in your house, or it's another house. Nothing looked off. And then I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is good. And I went back to sleep quickly, but it was freaky, man. And wow, okay, and that's one of the things to look out for, false awakenings. I wouldn't panic about them because you will eventually, like I say, it's harder to be doing this than not. Eventually you'll wake up out of it. But when it happens, it's like inception. It's like, how do I get to the higher level? I have a technique to wake up, and you need the technique to wake up too. Let's talk about that next time because I keep mentioning it, and it's really important. The teleport technique is also important too. You get caught in a claustrophobic elevator that's closing in on you, feels like it's going to suffocate the life out of you. You need that teleport button. Also, let me move up a little bit. I feel a little distant here. Dream bleed throughs. When your dream memories kind of overwrite your real memories or become blurred with real reality, with physical reality. I had a dream, and this was before, I think it was before I was lucid dreaming, or right around that time. Yeah, right around that time. Also, time with dreams is difficult to discern. You have to put it down. You have to write it down because you'll feel like it's a decade off from where it really was. But anyway, so I had this dream where I was at a gas station, and my father worked at that gas station, and he did work at a gas station, and it would look totally different than it was in reality. It had one pump that was over on the side and a highway in front of it. And I was just there, and a dog German Shepherd ran out into the road and was hit by a truck. And the whole thing, right? The dog, and you hear the dog hit the truck, and the dog yelps and has that curdling, yelping sound as he's getting crushed. And It was awful. It was so realistic. It was so awful. And he ran out. The screech of the tire, of the truck after he hit the dog, and the dog went flying on the side of the road. And my father went out. I was in the road actually, and he went out to see if the dog was okay. And I was traumatized. I was literally traumatized, like it just happened for reals. And I woke up traumatized and then quickly went back to sleep. But I remembered that dream in a different way than I ever remembered any other dreams. That dream seemed real to me for like a decade because it was just like it was a memory. It just like overwrote itself on reality for me. Like my brain didn't realize it didn't happen. And it never happened. No, it never happened. Nothing like that because that gas station that he was at never actually existed like that. He was at a gas station, but it had two pumps. One, you had this one station and then another station, so you could have four pumps on each side. So it would be like eight pumps. Eight cars could be there pumping up instead of just four. That's what they did back in the old days. But anyway, um, yeah, that never happened. I've never seen an animal get hit by a car, and I never want to see that. But it felt like it did. And it felt so real that I was traumatized. And it was like 12, 10 years after I had it. I was like, hey, wait a second. That never actually happened. Because it just came to me that it was like this vision. And it was like, that never actually happened. Um, no, that never happened. It was just a dream. And then it puts it into that context. Then your mind is like, oh, so it's not important. Oh, we were traumatized and holding on to it for 10 years. And now we can kind of let it go. And now I remember it because it's so vivid and it honestly was disturbing. More disturbing than it would be in a movie, right? Because you kind of feel like you experienced it. Now, this was not lucid dream, but it was so realistic. So yeah, that's another thing that can happen in these dreams that they feel super realistic, especially when things go on that are tragic. And that's why I have found that being distant in your dreams to try and distance yourself. Anytime I'm lucid, I try and distance myself and say, "Oh, that's the surrounding. This is me, but that's just something I'm seeing. It's not me. It's not real." That kind of distance that I try and get. And I didn't have that then. And it felt terrible, honestly. And this is another issue, it brings up another issue on uh, nightmares and bad dreams, is the emotional hangover. They can leave you anxious or depressed for days, sometimes weeks. And some of the dreams are not horrible dreams. Some of them are just depressing. I've had dreams where I was in a parallel reality kind of situation and it sucked. It was terrible there. I had made the worst decisions and lived the worst life. I had a dream where I was in a parallel reality where I was paralyzed from like the neck down. That is bad, right? But I have the ability to get out of dreams, so that was the end of that. But going back there all the time, it was like, oh wow, that's terrible. That was terrible. That was terrible. Or yeah, there's some disturbing places in our minds we can go. And when you start remembering them, you can kind of hold on to them. And you have to tell your mind, that's not real, dude. That's not me. Okay? Even if it really was a parallel reality, it's not my parallel reality. It's not a real memory from really me. Okay? All right? So ditch it. And you have to tell the mind that because mind does not always know. Even when we daydream, the mind doesn't really know that's the real deal. There have been studies done where basketball players shoot hoops in their heads. They're just imagining shooting hoops and it improves their shot. Right? So it's real. It really does make an effect on us. And you have to tell your mind, no, this is not going to have an effect on me. I'm putting it in the dream and don't worry about it category. Let's get on with life. Done. So the flip side of this is that a lot of this ability to lucid dream came from when I was a kid and it was having nightmares about monsters and terrible people. This probably came from a crappy childhood, honestly, and the fact that my mom was uh, letting me watch terrible movies, R-rated movies. Don't worry about it. Because she was a single mom and she wanted to see the movie, so she dragged her son along, and the son was going to have to see an R-rated movie and be traumatized. And I was, and I did. And that kind of adds into the dreams. So I developed an ability to fight back in my dreams, fight the monsters that were there, come what may, right? And there was a little bit of lucidity with that, right? Um, I was, especially when the monsters were ridiculous looking. So this whole lucidity came partly because I was being kind of harassed at one point in my teens years, early teens, by dream characters who were harassing me, or there were nightmares and they were attacking me, and I just said, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to. And before I went to sleep, I was like, I'm not going to let this happen again. I'm going to fight back. If I see a human monster, I will do whatever I have to do to fight back. If I see a monster, I'll do whatever I have to do to fight back. And maybe I'll develop some superpowers there too. And what I would do is I would imagine that dream at least once, one run through, where I did those things. So, like, I would have somebody chasing me, I would turn around and start fighting back. And those things worked. I started fighting back one way or another. I would fight back with fists, and sometimes I would say, I wish I had a sword, and then all of a sudden you have a sword, right? And then you start swinging at them, and you feel good about winning the dream, against these monsters. So it was a real help back in the day to have these dream ideas, and I call them technologies, that help you take control of the dream instead of dreams having control of you, where things are on the runaway. At one point, that's what it was like. I was scared to go to bed because I didn't know what, kind of scary, crappy thing was going to happen to me. And then it was like, no, I'm going to fight back against all this stuff. All this stuff, I'm fighting back. I'm not taking this anymore. And that's when things started to turn around, and I started to develop skills for lucid dreaming, and I started to take control of my nightlife as well as my day life. So if any of that stuff has happened to you, of course, put it down in the comments. Watch for loops and false awakenings and weirdness. Watching for weirdness in the dream world is the key thing. The mind likes to trick you out of it. The dream world, the dream mind, or dream world, whatever you want to call it, likes to trick you out of it. But you have a mind that is trying to find all the glitches in the dream. There are glitches in memory too, right? You can remember things that didn't happen in a dream. Well, kind of like remember things that didn't happen in a dream. Like, you'll think you got here by car, but when you're trying to think about the car that you had and the ride that you took, nothing comes to it. Watch for that too. And emotional bleed throughs as well. And it goes both ways, right? If you have these traumatic dreams, it's going to show up in your daily life, but also your daily life shows up in your dreams for the most part. So watch what you consume as far as content, videos, and movies are concerned. And when you are about to fall asleep, go over the good stuff or the stuff you want to happen in your life. That could be your far-reaching goals. Say you want to go to Disney World once, watch videos about going to Disney World and think about what you'll do when you get there. Or whatever it is. Be rich. Let's face it, most people want to be rich. And why shouldn't you, right? Money does buy happiness. Let's face it. Okay? Yes. So dream about it. What are you going to do if you win the lottery? What are you going to do? Dream about it. Don't be too nitpicky about it, about the rules and the times and what you'll do first and what you'll do second. No, 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 no. Pick something, right? Pick something. You go to Bali on the beach. Vision yourself on the beach and all the nice things that happen or whatever you want to do. That's how you combat these things. You might get false awakenings. False awakenings usually happen because you're sleeping in an odd place or at an odd time. That can increase false awakenings. So don't do that. But false awakenings can be a key to tell you that it's lucid time and you can do whatever you want. Why fret that it's lucid? I panicked. Now, the last time I had a false awakening, last 3 times I had a false awakening, I used it. I had a false awakening and I was sure that this was a dream. It's go time, baby. It's whatever I want to do in the universe, right? In the universe. It's great. So use it. And don't be scared of dream characters because you are the most important. You're the god in your dream, basically. Use that. Be sure of that nothing can hurt you and you can make anything happen. And you will have some amazing, amazing experiences. The negatives can bleed through, but the positives can bleed through too. When you have these amazing, amazing lucid dreams and experiences, it's just going to make your day so much better. And you're going to be thinking about them for years, the incredible experiences that you've had. And you were totally asleep. Your body was anyway. So if you had any of these experiences and would like to state any kind of dream that you've had, positive or negative, down below. I love it when people do that. So down below, comment down below. Don't forget to hit the like button because you know you liked it. And if you want to see the next video, subscribe. I appreciate it. It helps the channel. And I do want to make a community out of this where we discuss what we dreamt, and we're doing better, and then we're lucid dreaming, and then we're doing other things, right? Astral Realms, right? That's part of the title too. All that stuff. I want to make conversation about all that stuff. All right, people, have a great night and great dreams. Leave comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Boom.